Welcome to the channel. This is Amit, and today we are looking at use cases that I am going to build inside of my Hermes bot. I have it connected with my Minimax $10 a month plan. And on my left side, you're seeing KiloClaw, which has a ton of use cases. So the use case that I am going to focus on today is for real estate agents. And if I go back, here are the real estate agent use cases. So I am going to use all four of these and see if I can create that in my Hermes bot. So first one, let's start with that, which is leads go cold without follow-up. This is a super easy problem to solve. It says here we can just create, copy this prompt and create it. Now the idea is that you'll probably use KiloClaw and use their services, but why use it when you can just set it up all for free? I have this all set up on my Mac Mini that is sitting next to me, and then I'm using my Minimax $10 plan. So let's start with this first one. I've copied the prompt, which is build a SMB follow-up system without heavy CRM overhead, ask for lead sources, blah, blah, blah. And saying, before I build this, do you already have a pipeline or are we starting clean? This is for my real estate buddy. I am setting up a proof of concept for him. So I will be giving you some data from his pipeline to add once we set this up. So I'm just going to create a bunch of fake data and then dump it in here. And for that, I'll be using ChatGPT because my Claude tokens are very near and dear to my heart, and I don't want to use them. I'm building up this use case. Please create some dummy data for me. And on the right side here, Hermes has said, perfect, build the framework now, plug in data as it comes. Here's the full system. SMB follow-up system. You have pipeline stages, which is lead, contacted, qualified, proposal, negotiation one. And then we have our follow-up cadence. If 3 attempts with no response, mark disqualified, not lost, you can circle back in 90 days. Perfect. Also give us email templates and then close lost rules. This is kind of like a lightweight CRM that I'm building right here in my Telegram. Okay, next step. Once you have the data, lead sources, typical deal size, cycle length, and capacity, plug those in, and I'll tailor the dollar threshold, stage criteria, and activity volume specifically to his business. And on the left side, I have that data that ChatGPT just gave me. So we're going to put that in. This is for a home real estate agent for a team of one. Redo it. The data that ChatGPT gave me was for a larger team. I said this is for a home real estate agent for a team of two. Redo it. So now it's going to redo everything here. First, we're going to feed this first part to our bot. All right, so I've added the lead sources, the typical deal size, and commission is typically 2 to 2.5%, 3% on those deals. And then the sales cycle from the buyers and the sellers, which is sellers typically take longer, buyers are ready to buy, so their sales cycle is typically shorter. And capacity, and then the active clients. Then we also have our dummy pipeline data and pipeline stages we don't care about. We will send Hermes this follow-up so that it can set it up. Okay, Hermes says, now I have everything. Here's the complete tailored system, SMB real estate follow-up system. Here's the pipeline stages, etc., etc. If team is at capacity, stop sourcing new leads until a slot opens. Revenue per deal is too high to dilute attention. Then it has given us email templates that we can simply just copy paste. So also given us some review items for a weekly review agenda. Okay, now it says ready to plug in as actual pipeline. If you have a list of current deal stages, I can map them into the system to generate a priority action list for his review. Yes, we do. So I'm just going to copy this table, paste it in here, and let's hit send. You can see how easy this is. If you're building something out, literally just follow the prompts, let the bot do its thing, whether you are on OpenClaw, Hermes, Claude, whatever it is, you can just build this locally for your own use case. All right, I've fed it the seed data, and that was our dummy data. And based on that, here's what Hermes is telling me. Pipeline health check, week of April 28th. It says some deals need attention. Emily Rogers, she's a buyer from Facebook ads, hasn't responded for 22 days in the pipeline. Time to send her the day 5 breakup email. Disqualify or close loss this week. If you want to revive one final text, then DQ. Revisit in June. Action. Alex sends final text today. If no reply by Friday, DQ it. Then it says Raj, seller referral under contract, 26 days since last activity, in escrow but stalled, and it goes on and on with all the other deals. And then health check, it says deal status, deals are on track. And then these are all the stalled deals right here. And then finally it's saying the capacity check. And it's saying one last thing to lock in this week. So what I'll say is let's just give Emily another week. Remind me in 1 week to follow up with Emily. Now Hermes is going to look at my prompt, set it up as a cron job, and then it's going to remind me again on May 5th, Monday. It needs to figure out when is 1 week from today, which is when I'm recording this video. And you're probably trying to figure it out too. And it'll ping me on Monday, May 5th at 9 a.m. in my Telegram. And this is all on the Minimax $10 a month plan, which gives you 1500 prompts every 5 hours. And I have never run out of it. So that was set part one. Part one is set. There's 3 more, and we're going to try to build all of this. So the next one is client communication is reactive, organize email with templates and review responses. Let's go review response workflow. And this is a weekly habit and response template library. So you acknowledge feedback quickly and professionally, improving trust while protecting your time. So for here, what we're going to do is build a response system. And this would be someone reviews you on a platform, which is either Google, Yelp, etc. You can go and respond to them quickly. So what I like to do is in my Telegram, we're going to start a new session, clears up the context. And for this new session, now we have a new item, which is that prompt that I just copied. So let's go and paste that. And then this becomes part of your operating system, right? You are setting this up once, and now your bot is going to do its thing again, whether it's OpenClaw, Hermes, whichever new bot. When you're watching this, there could be like a million new bots, who knows. Here it's saying clarify which review platforms do you monitor, select all that apply. So I'll say just Google and Yelp, that's what I monitor. And then we have a few more follow-up questions. For this first one, I'll say friendly and warm is the tone. And because I did new chat, it doesn't remember the context of the previous one. So that's why it's asking what are the top 3 complaint categories. So I'll remind it that this is again for my buddy who runs a real estate business. And that should tell Hermes what kind of responses it will need the templates for, because if it's a realtor, it's most likely showing businesses, showing houses, but they also get reviewed. And that would be the thesis of how Hermes is going to set this up. So while Hermes is doing its thing, next is the market research, automated research for market data and comparables. And this should be an interesting one because this is definitely a pain point for a lot of realtors. And for this, it says research X topic for me, find primary sources with name experts, Reddit, HN, Twitter discussion showing real sentiment, both sides if there's controversy, exact quotes with working URLs, deliver as a GitHub issue I can reference later. All right, our email templates are done, and Hermes created 10 templates, and depending on the prompt, it can take some time because this was a much more involved prompt. It took a little while, I want to say maybe like a couple of minutes, and then it built all of these. So here's like the long one, here's category 7, and different categories, category 10, which category 10 is generic 5-star praise. So that would be the category 10. And then it's asking if we should set up a recurring cron job. If you are a realtor and you're setting this up, then definitely do it. I'm going to move on to the next one, which is our primary source research tool. However, I have tweaked this to be more specific to realtors. This one doesn't seem as specific to realtors as the one that I'm about to put in. So this would be my follow-up prompt. Now I want to set up some research for specific zip codes. When I tell you research and I give you a zip code, then I need you to fire up this prompt. Let me know when you're ready for the prompt. So it says ready, fire away with the zip code research prompt. And this is our prompt. It's called the Realtors Hyperlocal Intelligence prompt. And what this does is it researches zoning and development in that specific zip code. Also, what's the local people saying about that area or that zip code, whether it's Reddit, Nextdoor, Twitter, etc. Then market controversy if there's any local debate, and expert outlooks for that specific zip code. And it says deliver this as a GitHub issue titled market intel with the zip code. Now, I don't know if realtors are going to GitHub. I'm sure some of the savvy ones are. So if you're a realtor watching this, that might be a good idea. Or maybe you just connect it to Notion and that get delivers to your Notion or your Slack or whatever. Now Hermes has created a skill called Realtor Hyperlocal Research. It saved it and it said, hey, I'm going to add this to GitHub. Make sure that you have authenticated. And then I went to my Mac Mini, copy and pasted the GitHub install command, then logged in, authenticated my GitHub, and I said, okay, this is all set, and this is the repo to use, which is this one right here. Then Hermes is saying, perfect. I've logged in, authenticated as the repo. It says all set, repo confirmed, GH authenticated, which is GitHub. Research the location across all 4 categories, open a GitHub issue with the intel. What I can do is try this prompt that it gave me here and see if that research works. While that research is loading, there is one more use case in Kilo, which is listing management across platforms is manual. This one, I'm not sure how far we can get, but let's give it a try. It says, I'm an Airbnb host with multiple listings. Help me bulk update my nightly rates. I want to apply a pricing change, either a fixed amount, a percentage. I'm thinking we're going to skip this because I do not have Airbnb login, so I'm not even going to try this. But what I am going to do is see if we can bring this Hermes agent all the way through, which is making sure that it loads things in that GitHub repo. So right now it's saying it's doing a web search for the 75201 Dallas zoning development. It's doing a bunch of research, trying to figure out, okay, everything that I told it in that skill, it's going to apply it. It's going to try to web fetch any resource it can, and then it should be able to dump all of that into the GitHub for me. So we'll wait for this research to be over and then we'll continue. And we have our research done. That took, let's see how long it took. I sent that prompt at 11:05 and it took about 3 minutes. And in 3 minutes, we have a research done for that zip code. And now I want to go check if that research is in the GitHub repo. All right, just like that, it shows up in the GitHub repo. And you can see this was 6 minutes ago. The entire freaking research is done for you for that zip code. And here's everything that you should know about if you're a realtor in that zip code. How long did this save you, right? You could send this to your clients. You can ask your Hermes agent to maybe create this into an infographic and then send it to your client. So all of this is possible. In fact, let's go and see if we can do that. So let's go back to our Hermes agent and say, now compile all of this into an infographic that I can send to my client based on the research and use top line numbers that would matter to a homeowner buying in the zip code. I don't remember if I have set up my Gemini Nano Banana API key, but if you're a realtor, you could be doing this and saving yourself hours of research, hours of updating your CRM, because all of that is now right here at your fingertips. Also, Hermes and OpenClaw connect with Slack. So if you use Slack, you can have a channel for each of your clients and have this manage it for you. So even though it didn't create the image, it gave me the prompt that I can go and put into ChatGPT or Nano Banana, but it's still typing. So maybe it is actually going to create the image. We will wait for that cliffhanger before we end this video. And here is that actual image that I could just screenshot, text it to my client. If I'm a realtor, I'm doing all of this on the go, but it shows the zip code. It talks about it being a buyer's market. And then some of the key details that was in that report is here in this screenshot that I can simply send it to my buyer. And looks like at the bottom here, it might have glitched out. So maybe I'll just send this part and cut out the bottom piece, because you can see some of this towards the bottom starts to kind of fade off and doesn't adhere so much to the prompt. But in a short amount of time, we were able to set up the CRM. We were able to set up a follow-up emails, templates, and then we were able to set up a market research report that also publishes to GitHub. And there you have it. That's the full realtor pipeline using use cases from KiloClaw and implementing into my own CRM. And this is something I'm helping a friend with. So now I can show him a real demo. And that is how you can use OpenClaw, Hermes, and all these agents. Thank you again for watching. Thank you for tuning in. And until next time, keep prompting.